yes, legends. Oh yes. How's everybody doing? I hope you're doing fantastic today, guys. We'll be analyzing the situation here for the price of Bitcoin, getting a little bit of pumpy action, a little bit of pumpy momentum. Let's go through the comment section, say hello to the beautiful community, of course. Before we dive in straight into the content, guys, we'll be analyzing the different scenarios here for the price of Bitcoin all together. And let's dive in right away to say hello to the beautiful community, guys. Welcome. Make sure to smash up that like button, guys, if you do enjoy the content. Let's say hello to the beautiful community and see what's going on. See what's going on here with the price of Bitcoin, which is actually getting a little bit of pumpy action, a little bit of pumpy momentum. Very interesting price action that we have formed from the highs that were created here yesterday. Okay, very corrective price action. For me, this is also corrective up, corrective down. We're probably forming a larger corrective move to then, end up rolling over. Of course, that's the idea when you're moving up very correctively. And we're going to be discussing that, okay, in today's live stream, okay? Let's go and say hello to the beautiful community. Hope everybody's doing absolutely wonderful. Let's look for some scalping setups, guys. I'm actually interested with the same trade, guys, from yesterday. There was an interesting area to long this range. It was interesting to long. I can explain it today, but obviously the long, you don't want to long all the way up here. I'm actually interested in a swing, in a double top here, legends. Okay. There's two options, right? We're so close and hitting this high that I would believe that, it's just a matter of being patient, right? I do want to short. If we roll over from here, well, so be it. But I don't want to enter a short here and have a stop loss here. I want to see that price action claiming this high, preferably, especially at this point. And then obviously speculate on the swing failure pattern from that 5-minute order block. You got the fair value gap. All right. Very easy to manage trade. We could probably do this live. We wanted this yesterday, but we missed it by a few dollars. This was interesting for a long, a little bit, a bit aggressive, but good probability just because we had a bit of a three wavy here and, very choppy. VWAP was here in this zone as well, maintaining support. We had previous day value areas also holding as support. Fake outs back above, fake out. Interesting area for longs to attempt to hit the highs. And I'm not interested in any longs at, where we are at the moment. We're just hitting the daily open, previous day value area high. We got that 5-minute order block. We got the fair value gap. I mean, this is an interesting area to look for shorts. I'm going to remain a little bit patient here to see if we can wick above those highs, sweep that liquidity. And I would be interested in a swing failure pattern, basically from yesterday's highs, the order block, and the golden pocket, basically from the start of the drop that we had from the last few days, right? From Monday all the way down here till, range of Tuesday and the range of today, Wednesday. So golden pocket, highs, 5-minute, fair value gap. This is the zone that I want to see a rejection, which has a possibility, right? I need that rejection, eyeing the price action of the rejection. If it breaks through, then we go higher, right? I don't have any major levels. I don't have nothing much. There's a big fair value gap here. I wouldn't be too interested here in doing anything. And if we end up moving up with high volume, then eventually, I will explain the different scenarios. It's the same scenario that we explained on yesterday's stream, that if this turns out to have a very explosive move up, filling all the fair value gap and coming to this range and these lower highs at 90K, this is where it becomes interesting for a short, right? Sweep up all of these lower highs. This is a great region, in my opinion, to attempt the short. So there's only two shorts that I want to speculate on here. It's either the rejection where we're very close to, which we could get on the live stream. Good entry, good risk management. We need the fake out because the wick high is the liquidity grab where we have our stop, right? That's how I am looking to get into this plan. And if we break out, I'll just remain patient, because if that is the case and we've got increasing volume, I want to remain patient because there will be a moment of exhaustion. And that moment of exhaustion is my golden ticket to get the correction. Okay, so we know that trading is a patience game as well. We need to conserve capital. First of all, before we move forward, guys, of course, with the different scenarios, just wanted to point out that short. This content is for educational purposes only and is not financial advice. The information provided is not guaranteed to be accurate or complete. Always conduct your own research before making any financial decision, okay? Big rejection from the daily open. Rejecting at the moment. Previous day point of control, daily open. Yeah, that's what's happening at the moment. There is a lot of resistance. Eventually, we got a big cluster of a consolidation from yesterday, which is giving us all of this resistance. It's always nice to get a liquidity grab, okay? Kind of a fake out. I prefer that. I prefer it. But we are hitting a bit of resistance at the moment, as we can see on the chart. It's today's open, previous day point of control. Previous day value area high is slightly higher. So a fake out of this zone, just like a fake out of the previous day value area low, is what I'm looking at here with the previous day value area high. So we can actually complete some kind of a three-wave structure here, right? And then potentially attempt that rollover finally, right? Let's say hello to the beautiful community before we move forward here with the different scenarios. I'm just going to put the AC, guys. As soon as I turn the light on, I've been with the AC off. As soon as I turn some lights on, my goodness, it gets warm in here. So it's probably going to be, I might end up taking off my t-shirt, guys, if you don't mind that. But AC is on, so we're all good. Hi, Andy. Bulls are annoying today. Yes, they are. Yes, they are. We're going to explain a few scenarios. Interesting little scalp today. Day trade scalp. I'm only interested in the sweep of the highs for the moment as a short. And we've got a big gap here. I'm aware of the price breaking through. So this is a zone where I'm going to manage risk. We've got a fair value gap. I don't want to add to position or any of that nonsense. That's dangerous. That's how you burn accounts. And we don't do that here. So comment section. Vince, hi Andy, bulls are annoying today. Yes, they are. Afternoon, Daniel, much love to you. Daniel Singleton here giving love and power as always. Hi guys and gals. Ian, how are you doing? Andy, morning. Also, I am an idiot. Don't say that. Why? The CISD at 87,100 was there, but I wasn't paying attention. We can analyze that. Okay. Hello, Ian. Much love to you. Hi, Andy, my man. Always a pleasure to watch your regular updates. Well, man, thank you very much, my man. Yeah, we are trying to stay consistent. Look for opportunities. Look for the analysis. Look for... we basically look for what makes more sense, right? Nobody knows at the end of the day. Where there's so many analysts out there. I started in 2020. There was only a few crypto YouTubers by then. Now you lift a rock, man, and you're going to get a crypto analyst, specialist, content creator on YouTube. There's so many. There's a lot of competition, I have to say. So we need to keep, stay on top of the game. This is why we integrate a lot of Elliot wave theory. Not many content creators integrate that because it's a skill that you need to learn, and it is not learnt in a few days or a few weeks. It does actually take time. So that's we always want to try and have that little cherry on top, of course, with the content staying a little bit different from the herd. Andy the Great is back. Smash it up, everyone! Like the stream. Much love, everybody. Thank you very much for joining. You are the best analyst on YouTube. I mean, I wouldn't say so. There's a lot of very good analysts out there. I'm far away from being the best, but we try to be, very, very good, right? We try to be very, very good. But thank you very much for that kind comment. Thank you so much for what you do. You're very welcome. BTC long rise process in 2026. BTC as a benchmark in the crypto world. Absolutely. Simple 3 Jack, much love. All right, let's crack on. Okay, Alex, Andy, let's go. We need an entry. I feel an itch in my press the buy. I know. This is something that as traders we need to be very, very patient with. We create some plans and maybe none of the plans work out because you continue a range and you get very choppy and a lot of noise, and you need to just create new plans, right, every day. Till you actually, get into a couple of trades throughout the week, right? We always get a setup at some point, right? But you want the sweet one. You want the good one. Let's do it. Alec, much love. Let's check the Bitcoin price. I do think as we have hit the 0.88, As we have hit the 0.88, it would be nice to believe that we are going to take out those highs. Okay, what I do see here, there's a lot of noise from this price action. All right, very, very noisy, very, very noisy price action. I got some people, sending me a message yesterday on the stream that they actually entered the short. I didn't enter a short here. I did enter a long here, a little bit late. I'll explain that. Okay, we'll get into detail. I want to get, let's see if we do get this live trading setup that I'm looking for today. But I'll explain this. You might think, why are you entering here in the middle, right? And I want to explain that. Okay, not all the entries are catching the high or catching the low. You can actually enter on a recovery, on a little bit of a sign of strength. And, I want to explain this entry, and it's only a scalp, not a major swing. I'm not, taking most of the profits on this little day trade. But I want to explain as well, I'm not looking for swing longs here, guys, to be honest, right? If it were to move up very aggressively, I think the shorts have priority. But I'm very, very... very, very strict with where I want to enter. I want a test of the fair value gap. I want a test of the high. I want the price to fail to break out from this resistance so I can actually trigger the short position. And I would target the lows. I would target the lows in this case. Let's see if we do get it. We're going to set the alert. Okay, that's for me the intraday short entry zone. If it does get rejected, it's an entry. If it breaks out, there's no entry. Okay, fair value gap, not much resistance, and we'll have to remain a little bit patient. Okay, I would consider a larger wick, a larger fake out, and I would consider an entry and a stop loss here. Remember, this would be a good risk to reward back down to the lows. So I don't need to risk too much. This is a good 4-5 to 1 risk to reward, right? We always want to keep that balance with the risk management. Okay, this is a main problem in the trading world. You're going to risk sometimes 5% on a trade, maybe 10%, right? Maybe 20% because this one looks good, and that's how you don't have a proper percentage on the trade risk, right? So it always has to be in between 1.5, 1. When you're risking 2-3%, that should be your max risk tolerance on the trades. 3% of your capital, of your trading capital. And I know this is a very, very common mistake. It's a mistake that I used to do in my first few years, where I would just randomly enter, if I have $5,000 in my account, I'll enter with a $2,000 risk of stop loss, right? And it's like, that's almost 50% of my account. So we don't want to trade like that, guys. That's not sustainable long term. Okay, it is not sustainable long term. Anyway, let's go through the rest of the comment. Jackie Wood, mother always giving love and support. Peter, much love. Apparently, the 90.4K CME gap wasn't completely filled. Is this true? We can take a look at the gap later on. Not something that I would worry about too much. Your calls have been unreal for the last few days, Andy. Not getting it wrong. Well, I mean, there was one call I have to say. All right, I'm the type of guy that likes to cover the bad calls, right? Because good calls, they come in, they pour out, right? It's like this, the triangle. We've had many good calls throughout this, uptrending range. There's been many good areas looking for a bounce, looking for a rejection, SFP from this level, looking for a short for all of those people that missed out on this lower high. Also here, I was saying that, we could form another high, but the ultimate direction here was actually looking for a movement down. Just realizing that this could be a finished impulsive move, 5-wave structure. You're getting exhausted. One more high or not. We're looking for a pullback. This long position as well. This was from last week. The triangle long setup invalidation is these lows. So you got a tight stop loss here to take out 94. The lower high that was formed here on the FOMC meeting, right? The probabilities were to form a lower high here. And yeah, fantastic calls throughout this price action, I have to say. But there was one that was not, well, it wasn't a call really. We needed information, which was on last Friday's drop, right? Because I did talk about a triangle here. Did talk about a triangle that we could have got support at this range, or form a higher low from this pivot and then move up. We talked about it. I felt that this scenario was actually very interesting. It didn't happen. So I did explain why the probabilities decreased, because when we were doing a stream here, we were looking for a movement down, but overall a little bit of a range on the top side here. So we could confirm that we could have a three-wave structure on the movement down. However, the movement down from Friday was very, very aggressive. And we ranged here. There's nothing bullish about this range. No double 1-2s, no impulse. It looks corrective. The probabilities are low, right? But I didn't do anything on the weekend, so I couldn't update here on YouTube. So anyway, that you should understand. This is why we keep it educational as well. Be ready, because what we need to see here to be confident that we could form a higher low in the triangle is a three-wave structure down and overlap from a three-wave move down. Of course, this three-wave down, this third wave was very aggressive, and we stayed low. Staying low and very rangy is not good. If we would have got a bounce, not such an aggressive drop, a bounce, and you overlap this three-wave structure, bingo. That is the moment I would say this is looking good, guys, for the breakout. But it was not the case, right? So we always want to, the new information is important. New information on the chart is important, and that's what we try to do. We try and map the situation to see, if we don't form this, then we could form that, and if we form that, then we could do this, right? And that's where we look for the positions. Let's thank you very much for that kind comment. I have to say, I try to do my best. Looking for realistic scenarios. Much love to you, Iron. A bit of a slip, says Hope Culture. Absolutely. I lost 300 on that call. Well, I have to say, the information provided, right, is very important, okay? And the information that we got with that movement down throughout Friday and the weekend was not giving the high probability that this was going to form a higher low with this range, okay? And this is why I need people to understand, right? If I'm not here, or you need to understand that there's a low probability of getting a bounce based on this information in the end, right? Because we can speculate on that happening from this point, but we need a three-wave down and overlap, and that's the moment it becomes interesting. But if you get a big drop in your range, it's just not nice. Not nice. Probabilities that this was corrective was higher eventually, and then continue to the downside. Okay, so that's what I need. I need people to understand, how to, look for the different, look at the probability side of the market with the new information that we get. Dude, BTC is wrecking our alts. Link is going to bleed today. Oh my goodness. Yeah, I haven't even checked Link. I'm not checking altcoins, guys. I'm like out. Not out. I still hold a bag. I just don't care anymore, right? It's exciting when you're in bull run and the rest of it. Now it's Bitcoin. Now I'm full on Bitcoin. That's where I want to scratch, some dollars off the market, speculating on intraday little swing trade setups. That's what I try to do in a bear market. This is what we focus on a channel when it's in a bear trend. When it's in a bear market, we look for, we look for shorts, look for longs, whatever, day trading, swing trading. That's what we try and do. We don't talk about holding and buying crypto in a bear market, especially if it could be the start of a bear market. Lots of altcoins just feel like they're dead. So we focus on trading. We focus on scratching some dollars on the market. Andy, your analysis is my favorite by far. Thank you. Path Maria, much love to you. Thank you so much for that kind comment. I'm only in SUI when it comes to alts. BTC and ETH are the only two. Very true. very true. Mine is BTC, Link, and Ethereum. So they're my top three. Obviously, Bitcoin being 60% of my portfolio. Just a thought for alts. Would you DCA as they are extremely down, or would you wait as more blood will come? It really depends on what altcoins, it really depends. I would say Chainlink is starting to be an interesting zone to DCA. But, even Ethereum, Ethereum also good. But I diversify on my altcoins. I've had some altcoins that have done good. Some other ones have done normal to bad, and some of them have literally imploded, such as Sora Network, such as Cadena. I had not even 1% of my portfolio was in Cadena. That imploded. What else? Umbrella was a very, very small amount, very risky, very low cap. It imploded. It couldn't sustain the bear market, and this happens, right? So stick with the big ones, right? Stick with the big ones. SUI, if it's had a major correction, SUI, XRP, you get the deal, right? It's not going to give you a 50x, but eventually throughout the next coming years, it could realistically give you a 3, 4, 5x, right? I know people are wanting those big numbers, but if you do check the percentage of people that actually make 100x's in crypto, it's like 0.00001. It's it's very, very difficult. I managed to make quite significant x's when I entered in 2018 eventually, because I did catch the big bull run of 2021, end of 2020. But those times have changed, right? They have changed for sure. This crypto bull run has been very, very different. It hasn't been too great for altcoins. So yeah, big spike on Bitcoin, bro. Let's take a look at Bitcoin. Let's go. Alert set. Yeah, I mean, we're breaking through at the moment. So we did not swing failure pattern. Enough talking about altcoins. It's time to look at Bitcoin. This is what happens. This is a zone where you want to be cautious. You don't want to front run. If it front runs, I rather miss the short, guys, right? It either SFPs from here. If it doesn't, we go higher, right? We got a fair value gap. This is the danger of this zone where price could, gain some pretty nice power. So let's see how we do. I don't have much levels here. If we do not reject at the golden pocket and that 5-minute order block high, this is a risky zone. It is a risky zone, and this kind of proves my point, right? If you want to take any short. So what happens now? Remain patient. Let the price go. We'll probably have a naked point of control in this region. But when we get this spike in high volume, yeah, we don't, no major naked point of control here, unfortunately. But yeah, I also want to keep that. You could arguably discuss we have a point of control of this range. Okay, we have a point of control of this range, high volume. High volume coming in. I would say, not too interested in doing anything at the moment. What I want to see is this stopping and then chopping here. All right, so if we either continue to the upside, what I want to see here is the price slowing down at some point. That's where it's going to be interesting to look for the short position. This is a bit of an aggressive, if this rolls down like this, it's aggressive. This is a zone for me to not do anything. As explained, you either SFP from the high or you pop out with high volume because of the fair value gap. Right? This is why this is a dangerous area. There's only two ways to enter the short here, as you've seen. If you do not SFP from the highs of yesterday and that 5-minute order block and that golden pocket, we are looking for a possible breakout here. right? With the potential of going to 90K, right? Getting into the highs of the range, liquidity grab in this zone. So, yeah, I mean, this is what it is. What it is. An interesting long that we had in this zone, which, you know, I did take most of the profits on this long, but just for educational purposes, what I want to see right now here, guys, is the price action. One to one, 1, 2, 3, 6. Hang on a minute. I'm just looking at the extensions of these waves. Looking at the extensions of these waves. Yeah, I want to see exhaustion here, preferably coming into these highs. The ideal plan that I would want to see here, I wouldn't consider this as a major 0.88 with that. Yeah, this is too risky. Prices pumping, volume increasing. I'll tell you, you know, it is rare to see the price action. With this move up with high volume to get a big correction like this, like kind of nuke from here. Is it possible? Absolutely. But what usually happens with it when you get this kind of breakout, you know, you usually get that exhaustion. Price ends up stopping and taking out the highs, right? And that's where you have a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 situation. And that's when where you're interested. Once the price starts slowing down, you might form a little correction here, right? A little bit of a flaggy situation, a little bit of a consolidation that looks corrective and has a higher probability to take out the highs. That is the moment that after a big wave where you want to see the 4-5 potential and that 4 and 5th wave, right? Getting into some resistance where I can attempt a swing failure pattern with higher probability. And that's literally what I would be looking for right over here, right? So the trading plan that I had here with you on the lower time frame would have been nice to do a live stream just a couple of hours before, because this was very interesting price action, guys. Very, very interesting, which, you know, I want to explain it just to cover the education side of it. But right now, price is moving up with high volume, breaking the fair value gap. You know, I don't want to jump into a long up here eventually. And I'm interested in shorts, but I know how to remain patient for the short, and I know what exactly I'm looking for, regardless if the market's going to give it to me, right? So after a big high volume move, what I want to see is that exhaustion into this area of liquidity. Major lower highs of the last few days. You know, this is an interesting area. If we start slowing down at some point and start taking out the highs, when we get the stop is when I'm interested in looking for double, triple tops, because that means that the big wave has finished, right? This is a moment to not do anything, right? And that's the beauty, right? You should learn that once the price gets a big move, that not doing anything is most of the times the best option. Instead of FOMOing into a long, where this could just, create a quick SFP, and remaining patient for that exhaustion, that stop is the best option, right? Entering a short here is risky. Entering a long is risky. This area is right now a moment to not do anything. And I can give you many examples, right? There will be a moment, right? There is a moment always where after a big move, you're going to get a slowdown, right? You get this movement down, and once the price slows down, you can see that the price gets the reversal, right? Big volatile move. It's better not to do anything till the price slows down, gets a little bit of a bounce and a range, claims the low again, bounce and range, That's where you have high probability in this case, right? Where you are looking, okay, I mean, this was a double bottom zone that we talked about on last Monday. Well, last Monday, the 1st of December, sorry, my bad. And we talked about this double bottom. Guys, we're slowing down here after the big move. You know, a reversal looks good. Getting into double, triple bottoms is the game here. Same scenario when you break out here. Big volume, you're slowing down. Slowing down here. This is the moment of interest where you want to look for shorts to get that reversal, right? And it's a rinse and repeat kind of situation. Big move up, you're consolidating. You know, this is the slowdown area. Big move down, double bottom, right? Triple bottom, doesn't matter. You got a good entry, you got a good stop loss. If you do it again, you do it, you enter again, right? Once the bounce happens, you're getting into a 5-6 to 1 risk to reward. So the price always slows down at some point, right? It's not going to go up forever. If it creates a big pump and dump, well, that's another story, right? That's something that, you know, I can't predict that, you know, that kind of pump and dump. If it suddenly decides to dump from here very aggressively. What is common, as explained on these different movements that I've just explained here throughout the last 1 to 2 weeks, is that you slow down after a big move. You know, you end up chopping. You move up, you end up chopping. Move down aggressively, bounce, you know, you claim the low, double bottom, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's what you're looking for. Or a 1, 2, 3, A, B, C, right? But if the big moves happened already, that's where it becomes interesting to look for the reversal. So, you know, ideally here, what we want to see is the price slowing down after this big move. Is this big move finished? I don't know, and I don't need to know. I don't need to know. This could go all the way up here. It could stop here. It could move up. It can then start chop here. Maybe it could go higher and it hit 95k and then it stops here. When it stops and it ranges, that's where I want to position myself for the rollover. So you know, the price will tell you once it gets exhausted, right? Once it's going to get that choppiness and it creates a local stop. Looking at this time frame on the 15-minute, you know, you would realistically need at least 2-3 hours of a range, right? This is the 15-minute time frame. So stopping, you know, right now where we at, is this the stop? You know, absolutely not. This could, you know, in 15 minutes, this could pop again, right? It needs a stop. It needs to stop at some point, and it will stop eventually, right? It won't go up forever. So it's in our best interest to look for the stop at some point. Will it stop here or will it stop here? I don't know, but you don't need to know. Once it creates that stop, you understand this is the moment where it's going to double, triple top, right? And that's where you create that choppiness, right? So, I mean, that's the game plan, right? That's the overall game plan. Big move, you start ranging, you break out the highs. Okay, well, then you form another range. Then this range becomes very, very interesting. We talked about also one here, which was absolutely beautiful. I mean, this SFP was phenomenal. This one right over here was really, really good because the overall speculation from this movement was coming from this low. You got the big movement up and we're saying, you know, this could potentially be that wave 4. It's either looking for a double top or this top right over here, right? You got two options to enter the trade. The double top from here, or if you break through this level, you know, the preferred one is this one eventually, this lower high. So, yeah, let's see how this develops. I have to say I'm not in a rush here. Unfortunately, I took most of the profits from that scalp day trade long. I just very much aware that, you know, I'm not too sure about this movement. What I'm sure was this movement, very corrective, you overlapped. I'll explain this right away. There's a lot of noise here, but there's not too much noise here. And what we want to do as traders, as day traders for an entry, is look for the new information that is actually going to give us confidence in saying, okay, now it looks pretty damn good, right? Which this was the area to be confident for that. And I can explain that right away in the next coming minutes. Unfortunately, I did take most of the profits from that long position. It was a scalp day trade. Was only looking for a possibility of hitting the highs. We got a bit of choppiness here, took most of the profits, but it is what it is. I'm not interested in a short trade just as of yet till we get that slowdown, guys. Okay. Man, this is popping quite a bit now. Interesting. I would treat this as an aggressive SFP, guys. I mean, it's a major lower high from Monday, but we're breaking above it. So no rejection, no quick. Next lower high is the one that's going to be looking interesting. Let me just take a look at the levels here because we've got a point of control all the way up here at 92.3. That's far away. Daily level. Weekly, that was... let me just double check this weekly level. Yeah, we're coming into a possible weekly level here. This could be an interesting level. Let's see if we do have some fib. Right, we've got that weekly close and open from the previous 2 weeks. We're very, very close to that level. That could be an interesting scenario here. Let's dive in right away and check that weekly level on slightly higher time frame. See if we got a little bit of a point of control. Yeah, we've got the point of control also of this range coming in here. This is a potential swing failure pattern zone. I would rather attempt the weekly or that lower high right over here. We could get that entry. It is risky. It is risky, of course, because the price is just moving up with high volume. But you got the point of control of the range here, which is coming in with that weekly level. It is a solid level. Yeah, big resistance coming in right now here at $90,300. I would trade, we are moving up with high volume. It's an aggressive entry. An SFP, at least the tap of the weekly, is preferred always when you're so close to some lower highs. Let's take a look at Fibonacci from the highs of the range. Yeah, I mean, obviously you're counter trading here. Yeah, not much here with Fibonacci. Yeah, a little bit too aggressive, I have to say. Point of control has just been tapped. We just tapped that point of control. Very, very difficult, very aggressive entry of a short here. I'm not a fan of getting into these aggressive trades unless we SFP from a major level. A lot of resistance here at $90,300. Preferred scenario here now is to get some kind of a correction, overlappy structure, a little bit of a range, and then claim the highs again. And this is the golden ticket. This would be the golden ticket here for me, at least, right? If you stop in a range, it's very corrective. You have a kind of a fourth wave formation. And then obviously that fifth wave where you're looking to fake out all of these lower highs, claim liquidity, and then roll over. So yeah. I would class, any shorts taken with this pump, they are aggressive. You need to be defensive, right? You're catching long in here is not an option, unfortunately for me. I just don't want to rush in along. It's not my style. I don't, I need a strategy. I need to, I need a bit of a range. I need a plan here. It's rather more interesting to start thinking about shorts at major levels of resistance instead of jumping in along, because there will be a moment that price eventually takes that aggressive rollover, right? This is not a zone to long. So yeah, we're coming into a cluster of resistance. Always the beauty of the trade is the SFP. Right now, not the greatest SFP here. We're just chopping. It would be nice to sweep up these lower highs. That's like the best zone, I would say. With that point of control, kind of create that fake out. But what is best here is to form that range. What is best here is to form that rangey structure. Wave 4, boom, wave 5. That's what I would be looking at here to then execute the short. This is an aggressive entry, even though point of control is acting as resistance, as we can see from that range of the last couple of weeks. Yeah, anyway, let's cover. I want to cover a little bit of this choppy range. Okay. I would say that this is a very aggressive short. Okay, very aggressive. I want to go through the trade setup that was from here. Okay, just for educational purposes. When we do zoom in from this price action, obviously yesterday we did get some people already entering the short. Just, I don't know, they wanted to get into that short in this region anyway, right? The overall plan was to get that SFP and actually hit the golden pocket from the highs to the lows, which we kind of missed by a couple of dollars, or we maybe just ever so slightly tapped it. But yeah, getting this correction down, getting this movement down, this is the golden information. This, we always talk about what we want to see is a 5-wave move up and a 3-wave structure down, right? When we take a look at the plans, we always say, well, unless you're longing from, this slowdown, which I had to say was quite difficult. You're starting to slow down here. Unless you're longing in this zone, what you need to look is some kind of a possible impulsive structure and then a 3-wave correction that has overlap. And that was the scenario that happened here that had the potential of taking out this high eventually. And when, what I want to discuss is mainly when you have a lot of noise, getting new information is what you need, right? Because we were looking at this yesterday saying, this is a lot of noise, a lot of overlap. Is there some kind of an impulse here? There is maybe some kind of an impulse. There's lots of overlap. It looks more corrective, but could there be an impulse? We can discuss that. We can actually go through the lower time frame and discuss that. But very, very noisy, very overlappy. The interesting take is the next wave. The next wave, once this stops and it forms either a range or a movement down, is where you have fresh information. If your previous move up has a lot of noise, then you want to take a look at the next one. And then, if this one ends up being corrective and we get a blast off, now we got this information. So this is why with this new information, what is best is to slow down in this region and start getting some choppiness in this area, because that's the moment from this 3-wave down that you can say, okay, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, you get that 4, 5 scenario in this area where you're looking for that reversal down. I can say once the price starts slowing down in this area, it could get a bit of choppiness, right? That's going to be looking interesting. Wick the highs, chop down, wick the highs, chop down. That's when it becomes interesting, but you need at least a bit of a range. This could still continue popping through, right? All of the levels. It needs to slow down, right? You need something like this. You need a stop here. When it stops and, you have a bit of a rangy formation, that's where it becomes interesting. Double, triple top. You want to try and catch the 5th wave in this case, because what we don't know at this point, could this be a wave 1, wave 2, wave 3? You create a larger correction 4 and 5, and then you move down, or is this an A, B, C? Right, you're finishing the C wave, you get the choppiness here to finish the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5s, and then roll over. It doesn't really matter what it is. You're just looking for the range formation, and you want to take that, move down correction. So yeah, you know, when you got a big pop with high volume, you just want to literally stay calm. You know, attempting these shorts at levels of resistance with such a big volume move up. You know, you need to understand that you are moving up with high volume. But yeah, obviously this starts to be the range where we have some interesting resistance. As explained yesterday, fair value gap, right? You don't, you know, you're not shorting anywhere in this area, right? You either double top or it's off we go and we pump a couple of $1,000, right? Which kind of proves my point here after getting this pop out. You know, this is a zone to not short. Literally, once the price breaks out, it's going to slow down. Be patient, wait for the slowdown, and then you got probabilities of the price, you know, moving to the downside. So that, you know, as traders, we want to be patient very much for these kind of scenarios. Get the slowdown here. So anyway, explaining this area that we had yesterday and today, right? Part of yesterday and today here. Let me just crack down the importance of let's just say, you know, why would I enter a long position here? And, you know, well, you didn't catch the low, right? That's why. If you maybe, you know, if I want to enter a short, I'm telling you, I want to enter a short, and I probably will enter a short once we get the slowdown. But it's all the information that is provided that makes you pull the trigger. Okay? Because this is going to be the cherry on top, guys. Trust me. It's going to be the cherry on top for you to take decisions in your trading and you know, take your trading to the next level. There is an explanation for every trade. There is an explanation on every move, and it needs to make sense for you, right? We can't only just say, you know, VWAP or the 7/8 Fibonacci or some order blocks, right? That's all good. You're going to see this on every single channel out there that is just going to talk about this every single day. And, you know, VWAP, session VWAP, or, you know, give or take many other different, you know, order blocks, more basic stuff. But this is where it becomes, you know, point of controls weekly, all of that is all good. But when you realize that you get some kind of movements that you can detect that it's not an impulse, okay, it gives you a possible entry zone. It gives you a possible entry zone when you also, you know, you can use other stuff such as session volume profile, which is going to give you the daily open, previous day point of control, the previous day valley, area low, right? All of these for kind of fake outs. But what I want to explain here is this movement to the downside, which is what you need to study, right? Sometimes we think, you know, when we talk about the bullish case, when we're moving down, if you want to be confident in that we're going to get a bounce up, you know, what are the main things that we talk, right? We want to see an impulse up, right? And then most importantly, a three-wave corrective structure, right? How do you detect a three-wave corrective structure? Because it could be a, you know, 1, 2, 3, and you just want to catch the low, right? ABC. If this is very clear, then you could attempt it. But when it's not too clear, which is the case here, it's risky to try and catch the third wave because it might not be an ABC. It might break down, right? 3, 4, 5, right? Ends up being an impulse, especially when we're in a downtrending market, right? So where is the sweet spot? Where do I get in, right? How can I detect that it is a three-wave structure when I have increased probabilities that the movement down is a correction? Well, that's literally when you get that overlap from the lows. From the lows right over here, when you get that overlap, it's where it becomes interesting, because what you want to see in an impulse is a 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Your fourth wave, you don't want it to overlap from the lows of your potential wave 1. And in this case, right, you had that overlap. It is preferred to get above those highs and then, you know, correct and then you're looking for the long trade. However, this is very much valid still, and we talked about this yesterday on this movement right over here, where the probabilities when we were trading in this zone was to take out the local highs. It's only a movement of $500, but still, I realized that from this point, you know, eventually there's a higher chance that we do take out the highs over here at 87.8k, right, as explained on yesterday's stream. So yeah, anyway, just want to give a bit of education here, guys. Okay, interesting. The price is starting to stop, which is good. Price is starting to stop, which is very, very good. And we can analyze the different scenarios. Okay, here, 3-wave move to the downside, as you can see. Okay, and then this bounce overlaps this pivot. This movement down is longer than this one. Okay, the only bearish scenario from here would be a multiple 1-2 or some kind of a diagonal, which they are rare already. You don't take them as high probability. So the double 1-2 has low probability because the second wave 1 is longer than your first wave 1, and that's already giving you that, you know, edge right over there. So this area naturally becomes an interesting speculative zone with stop loss beneath the low, beneath the previous day value area low that faked out, to look for, you know, the price action to possibly attempt to hit the highs, which is the case here, right? You are giving a chance for this to possibly be the correction from this movement to the upside. There's other corrections that could develop, double zigzag, all right, take out the highs, ABC, you know, a sideways WXY, and then you take out the highs later on. But regardless, the probabilities start to increase based on this move to take out these highs. And, you know, if you break out, then, you know, happy days, right? Because you realize that this area is the level to short if you swing failure pattern. If you wick up and close down, you know, short trigger, stop loss, okay, 3-wave up, you know, this has the potential of rolling over. If you break through this fair value gap, you know, I'm not interested, as explained yesterday. If we break from here, I ain't gonna be in a short and adding to the position, right? You know, this is the reason why, right? Why wouldn't you short here, right? You need to know the answers, right? And this is mainly more for the new people. I know there's experienced people here that already know this, but it's literally no volume, no big volume, fair value gap. This is a dangerous area to get into the short. So it's either swing failure pattern from here or pop out. And if you pop out, well, you look for the next levels of resistance, which is, this is already good. I would treat this as a very aggressive entry, but for a short, but it's looking pretty damn good for the price to start getting exhausted here. This is the zone where, you know, we're probably gonna get the choppiness. This is the area right now. We're getting an internal stop right now, which is good at big resistance. A few attempts of breaking out here, the high is good. That's where I would treat here. If you range from here, double top. It is the trade that I'm looking for. You got your first big volume breakout, getting a stop. You know, I'll tell you what is rare on the chart that you're not going to see very often. And as you don't see it very often, you need to understand that you know, you have a strategy in your favor. If you get a big move up like this, well, big move, right? It's just a couple of $1,000, but on the 5-minute, it looks pretty good. And you stop here, right? You create a bit of a bull flag or whatever, a little bit of a range. The probabilities of getting a wave to the upside that is this length are very, very low. The probabilities are usually low after getting this stop, okay? After this big move up. This is rare. It's low probability to get such a big move, all right? And what you would want to see, what you usually would see here in this range is once you get a slowdown here, and if you do take out the highs, this movement has high probability in failing to break above successfully, like big continuation from this recent highs. And that all just has to do with Elliott wave theory, right? You just realize that this movement up has a very good chance of failure once you get the stop. It has a very good chance of failing, and that's when you need to have the levels, swing failure pattern from this pivot, from the weekly, which we just missed by a few dollars. Weekly is a good level. Get above the weekly, get below it, it's a trigger. Stop loss above the high. This has the potential of getting a much bigger correction throughout the next coming days. So yeah, I mean, that's just a little bit of what you want to see, right? I would treat this as an aggressive short here from this point of control. You know, what is common is to get a little range here. So, you know, this is what usually happens. I'll tell you what usually happens, okay? We're hitting resistance. You're going to get a bunch of shorts entering here. People are just going to look at the resistance. Yeah, I mean, it's not a bad entry. It's an aggressive entry. But I'm telling you that there's going to be a lot of people shorting here right now. Because, you know, people use technical analysis. They will see the point of control and they'll say, I'm going to short at resistance, right? You need to get into the think like a market maker, right? Going to get a bunch of shorters entering the market here because it is resistance. It is the point of control. What do traders do? What do retail traders do? They look at the resistance on the chart, in this case, volume profile of the last couple of weeks. You know, you're going to get a lot of shorts entering the market in this zone, right? We already got 4 million on Bybit right there. 4.3 million shorts entering right now here at the resistance, which is, I mean, obviously it is, you know, it is good, but you're going to get, unless you triggered the exact point of control in this case, what is common to see is that you're going to get that, you know, probably a pullback. And what is common to see is that this movement to the downside is likely going to be a corrective range. And, you know, that there is the most common scenario after a big move up is that you are going to stop at resistance. You're going to have that feeling of rolling over. You're going to slow down. You're hitting resistance. It's going to chop around. But what is common is that you're going to chop the highs a few times and chop those short traders that are entering early. And then you're going to roll down, right? So that is the moment when you slow down that you're interested in the double, triple top scenario, right? Once the slowdown happens, you're interested in that next wave up to the weekly or to this lower high SFP zone. And then you need to understand that, you know, you might take it one more time and then you roll over. You can, you know, you have the possibility of risking, you know, this amount, right? You know, you can risk this amount and get stopped out once. It's okay. You can attempt it again, because once the, you know, the bigger move down happens, you're going to pay off your stop loss, you know, by 3-4 times, right? As you can see. So, you know, this is what usually happens, right? Lots of shorts entering at resistance. Yeah, we all know that. So what usually happens is that, you know, you wick the high, you know, 2 or 3 times before actually getting the correction. And this happens time and time. We can take a look at this many times. You know, there's this one right over here. Big move up. I'm coming into resistance. That's all good. Point of control. Oh, point of control. Let's all short together. Right? You have the example here, guys. You know, it's just, it's on the chart. Point of control here. What happens? Oh, we're getting a bit of resistance. I'm entering shorts. You know, I don't know where stop loss is here above this high. You know, you got the point of control of this big range. You got the resistance. A bunch of shorts entering. Stop them out. Then go. You know, you would arguably discuss it's something similar to this pump to the upside right over here as well. You know, you get the chop, you get the range, but you can enter the double triple tops. That's fine. Got very, very tiny stop loss. You will get that pullback at some point, which is large. You will get the large pullback at some point once you slow down after the big wave. Big wave, slow down. Big wave, slow down. Well, big wave up now. What are we looking at? We're looking at slowdown. You know, I'm looking at slowdown into the levels of resistance, but I'm very much aware of the wicks to the upside, right? So, and it's just remaining a little bit patient. If we were to get an epic move down, rejection from here, you know, it's just not my league. It's not the game that I'm playing here. So I would rather call it as a missed short position. Anyway, let's go right away. We are at resistance. Beware of the choppiness. This is where it becomes interesting right now. Now is where I like it. I like that the price has slowed down here. This is now claiming the local highs into the weekly starts becoming interesting. And I can tell you that it is very, very common. After a big move up, you start slowing down. Regardless, if you come down here, or if you range, or if you take out the highs now, it doesn't matter. If it is common to take out that once you get a stop, okay? Once you get a stop, it is very, very common to double top here, fake out, especially when you got a weekly. Or that lower high right there. You know, got a big, you know, this is a very interesting lower high range, right, for liquidity. If you stop in this zone, I can tell you it either moves up and takes the highs from here. It ranges a little bit more and then takes out the highs. It comes down and then takes out the highs. I don't know what could happen here. But what is very, very common is to, once you take out the local highs, then get the correction. I know this is common after getting a stop. This stop can be very tricky. It can be very tricky. It could go a little bit lower. It could go sideways. It could, it could come up from here. I don't, it's just a zone where I know that the price could range a little bit, lower high, boom, could come up to the highs now. It could come down and then take out the highs. I want to get to the highs again at some point, and that's where I'm going to look for the trigger. So, yeah, remain patient. Let's see. I like this stop already. This stop for me is okay. I would say it is an okay stop at the moment to sweep up the highs and speculate on a short at the weekly or at that lower high that we have from the 13th of December. Weekly, those highs, becomes a very, very interesting area for that rejection. So yeah, let's see if we do get that now in the next coming minutes. Would be nice. A little bit of a rangy, a little bit of a triangle-y move or a zigzaggy move down, and then take the highs and then roll over. That's the moment that I'm looking for, either weekly or that lower high to trigger my short. I got guidance here. I've got two levels of guidance, and you need to have levels of guidance, right? I know what I'm looking for, and we just wait for that scenario. I just wait for that scenario anyway. I think it's not a bad zone to start collecting some of those profits, but I'm going to leave some open of this position just as a hedge. Okay, this was a small position. I'm going to leave some open. This for me is not much, and I will leave some open because I will attempt some shorts eventually in this area, and I want to hedge. I'm going to treat this as a hedge position. for the short trade setups. Pulling back now nicely. Let's take a look at the 1 minute. Let's take a look at the session VWAP. See where we at. Session VWAP is very, very far away. Yeah, what I would like to see now on this price action is take those highs. And, you know, even speculating on a scalp long in this zone is not going to be a bad idea. It's not going to be a bad idea. The problem is going to be stop loss at the moment. We're getting this movement down. That could be a wave 3. You know, preferably we take that high and then we get the correction. And it would be nice. You got this rangy structure, the highest amount of volume. Got a little bit of volume strategy here, which is spike in volume throughout these candlesticks. Let's go through the 5 minute. Yeah, the 5 minute candlestick here with high volume eventually is gonna provide that local support. Right, high volume candle. Right there, there's providing that little bit of support right now. Right, it's kind of a 5 minute fair value gap right there. It is common for this zone to act as support. The low of the wick. That's going to be interesting. Let's take a look here. Interesting local level of support. Yeah, I think this is a very, very good zone to get that bounce here locally. Anyway, let's go through the comment section. This is the stop that I wanted to see. This is the stop. If we do get a little bit of a range and overlappy structure throughout the next coming hours, then this is the golden ticket that I'm looking for. If we were to collapse from here, you know, treat this as an aggressive entry, just hitting that point of control. Okay, it is an aggressive entry, but you can always be very, very defensive. I would say that the price is very, very likely gonna, you know, claim those highs again. So we're looking for a bit of a range here, which is good. We've got the stop, and it is very, very common to reclaim those highs. So that's the moment that I'm interested in. Okay, that is the moment that I want to execute. Big move up, get the stop, which is happening right now, and then as that stop happens, this is my main SFP that I'm looking at to get that move down. Okay, that's the entry that I want. The fifth wave, right? Potential fifth wave. That's what I'm looking at here. Well, at least you know, the 4/5s on the lower time frame. At least on the lower time frame here from this wave, because when you go to the 5 minute time frame, you know, we could be looking at a 3-wave structure here. Right, and an ABC, right? Let's just imagine that we're looking for that ABC movement from these lows. Okay, it could be a 1, a 2, and you know, you are forming the third wave, then the larger fourth wave here throughout tomorrow, and then the fifth wave later on, right? You get that fourth wave that corrects down to the 382 50% Fibonacci from this pivot low to the pivot high. And then you get the bounce. No overlap from this pivot, right? It might be an impulse, maybe. It is a possibility. You have the 3-wave structure, which ends up rolling down aggressively. So at this point, we got this wave and we got this wave. Interesting zone to long. Good risk management. Stop. You could target the highs at it as a TP1, which is, you know, basically what I was looking at here. Very aggressive short with the move up. I'm more of a rangy guy. You know, I look for the information on the chart and I trigger along. I can use VWAP. I can use previous day value levels. I use Elliot wave theory. This is likely corrective. Previous day value area low holding, faking out. But then, you know, right now where we are at this moment, we are coming into big levels of resistance. You know, any of the people that, you know, there's two options here. You aggressively enter at the point of control, right? There's two ways of entering here. You have the you know, the aggressive maniacs, which just want to short the exact level, which you know, I have to say it is optional. There's always the aggressive entry, you know, hitting a level. You always have the option of entering aggressively at a level, or then you have the more conservative scenario, which is looking for the exhaustion, which is always the best option that could give you, you know, a good high probability move, you know, a good high probability trade setup. So, you know, I would be happy to wait for that, you know, test of the highs that could happen, you know, early tomorrow morning. Maybe it happens late tonight. But yeah, I have to say this is a bit of an aggressive sniper trade that has happened here at the point of control. I mean, obviously it is big resistance. Let's see, this could be the end of that three-wave structure, right? This could be a three-wave structure, and eventually that could be the case here. It could be the case that this is a three-wave corrective structure. It's very, very possible. I want to discuss here a little bit these scenarios. It is dipping down a little bit aggressive right now. It is dipping down a little bit aggressive. Yeah, it needs to hold a little bit in this zone. A bit rangy. Did get a bit of a stop here. I mean, this was one of the stops, starting to get some choppiness. That's where it starts looking interesting. Rolling down pretty aggressively at the moment, so it's not ranging. A bit of a sniper trade, bit of an aggressive short at the point of control. Not my cup of tea, I have to say. Not my cup of tea to be so aggressive at the point of control, but now the price is dropping down a lot, and we're very, very likely going to be invalidating the impulsive move eventually from this movement. So what we could be looking at here is that this is an ABC. This is a three-wave structure. Okay, that's possibly finished at this point. It would have been nice to get that exhaustion. What price decided to pump into the resistance and reject right now. So we got the first initial signs on the very, very low time frame. So the price did stop for a little bit. You can see that little bit of exhaustion right there. So the price did this, you know, did get that little bit of a stop formation here. You got the big move in this zone, and it was starting to stop. Yeah, a bit, you know, quite aggressive. Let me know in the comment section anybody that maybe entered that short position. I didn't get into the short. Wanted to see a little bit of a range, claim the highs again. But that's part of my strategy, right? I just talk about, you know, what I want to see to take that trade. And price got the slowdown on the lower time frame, and it already rolled over pretty aggressively. Now we have a good chance that this movement to the upside is a three-wave corrective structure, especially if we do get down to this pivot. because, you know, obviously you're not looking at a 1, 2, 3, you know, 4 and 5. If you overlap already that pivot, guys, it's no bueno. It's not good. You know, this will give high probability that this is a 3-wave corrective structure. Yeah. Very, you know, a quick entry. Let me know in the comment section. It did slow down. If you do take a look at the 1 minute time frame, it did slow down into the resistance. Weekly level was not tapped, but the point of control was tapped. Here's where it starts slowing down into resistance. Point of control, weekly and lower high. The point of control was the one that acted as resistance here. Quite aggressive. Anyway, let's go through the comment section, see what's going on. Bit of volatility. It was the CME gap fill. Let's take a look at that CME gap fill right away. BTC CME gap. Oh, someone actually asked this. I'm in a long, says someone. Small. I'm in a short. 1.236 extension, very good indeed as well. Yeah, that's a good take right there. 1.236 extension on the Fibonacci. That was it. You know, that was interesting for an ABC, which is from this pivot to this pivot to this pivot low. 123 extension is valid. It's the common area for a C wave. 1236 1382. That's looking at this as a 3-wave structure. I mean, coming into a big cluster of resistance, I have to say. Bit aggressive. Could have entered in a small position here. Get a bit of stop loss far away stop loss. You know, add to the position if you get exhaustion. You know, there's many ways to handle this situation. But yeah, now we have now we have high probability that this is a 3-wave corrective structure to the upside, especially right now that we've got this overlap from this pivot, right? Which gives high probability that we likely take out the lows here at some point in the near future based on this structure, okay, to the upside. So yeah, what's going to be interesting about this movement down is obviously, you know, because you will see me not catching the high, but I'm still interested eventually on the short trades. And, you know, what I want to see here on the inverse side is a bit of the same scenario where you've got the movement down, you get a bit of an aggressive move down here. I want to see the choppiness here to finish that impulse, get that movement here up, and then get the corrective overlappy uptrend momentum, which looks good to basically enter a short position for the 3rd wave, right? So this happened to me a few weeks ago in this range right over here, which I did not catch the SFB from this pivot. I talked about it on a stream, but I did not catch it. But I did enter a short from here. So, you know, let's see. You know, this is the thing, right? You know, so some kind of a bounce likely to happen. We do have higher probability that this is a 3-wave corrective structure to come to the formation here of a 1-2, 1-2. Your second wave 1 is very long, it's very quick. This is common for an ABC. You're overlapping this pivot. Double 1-2 has lower probability. So there is a very good chance that this is an ABC. Of course, an ABC 3-wave structure could always bring the possibility of a larger correction, double zigzag, you know, zigzag down, triangle, and then down. You know, we have many different options. But, you know, 3-wave corrective structure, at some point, we have higher probability to take out these lows at 85,200. So, yeah, bit quick tap at the point of control, which, you know, I class as an aggressive entry moving up with high volume, but the resistance was too big, right? Too big of a point of control to actually hold on here. It would have been nice to get a bit of choppiness. That's what happens a lot of the times, pumping and dumping very quickly. We are in that kind of market, which is it's too bearish. This market's too bearish to have any quick sustainable pump. And we are downtrending. One of the scenarios that looks interesting here, based on Elliott wave theory anyway, what I would like to see here to reposition in a short is, hang on a minute, let's go through the 5-minute time frame. And yeah, I want to explain this scenario. Would be nice to get a bit of that slowdown here and eventually get the bounce. This bounce is going to be interesting. The bounce is going to be interesting. I would be interested in speculating on a lower high here. Whenever that happens, if we do get the chance of getting the bounce, unless the price wants to nuke down till we get down to the lows. But I'm looking for that slowdown here, literally. The bounces do happen. So, at some point, slow down here, look for the bounce. I want to get into the lower high before getting into the third wave. Let's see if the market wants to give us that opportunity. Whoever entered on a short at the point of control, absolutely phenomenally aggressive. Okay. But the resistance was there. Sometimes you need to be aggressive on the entries. Give a bit of room for stop. Enter with 1% and maybe add another % if you get the exhaustion and the local double tops. But the resistance was there. We exactly hit this point of control of this range. So yeah, probabilities are higher to claim this low, guys, at some point. Unfortunately, with this structure, unfortunately for the bulls, right? So let's go through comment section, see what's going on. Ramzin FN, how are you doing, my man? Do we look for longs now, later? I have to say, well, there's higher probability in coming to hit the lows here, right? So any local internal longs, the probabilities are higher to take out this low at some point. So just because you have this 3-wave move up that did not get continuation, and you're overlapping the structure right now. So this is the thing right now. I know that the probabilities are high at some point in the near future. Could be today, could be tomorrow. You could be forming a larger correction throughout the next coming days. But at some point, the probabilities are high to take out 85k. So longs become, very, very dangerous at this point, unless you're getting a slowdown or you're hitting a major level of support, which, I would not count on it too much today. You're breaking all of the previous day, daily open, previous day value area, previous day point of control. Not looking too great for the bulls, huh? Not looking too great. Coming into the weekly, coming into the point of control, big cluster that got the, we didn't get a slowdown here, guys. We did get the slowdown on the 1 minute, right? This is sometimes why flipping on the 1 minute sometimes can help you to take that decision coming into resistance, because what you don't want to do is short the big candles, right? You don't want to short the big candles. Once you're slowing down into resistance, that's when you know that you're getting exhausted. You could form a larger range, take out the high again, then roll over. You could roll over directly, but that's when the slowdown happens. That's where it becomes interesting to start looking for shorts, right? But when you get the big candles, the first few big candles with high volume, they're the risky ones, right? That's the risky area to look for shorts. But when you slow down, then, right, you can see from going vertical, you're slightly going sideways here, right? It's just always, you know, good education, good tips. Also for myself as a reminder, you know, I'm a very, very conservative trader now, and sometimes I'm too patient, which happens. It happens to me a lot of the times. And my entries sometimes suck. You know, my entries like in the middle of nowhere, just because I want extra confirmation, which is literally from the movement that was explained today on this range, right? You know, we get a 3-wave move down. I get the overlap. We got fake out from the previous day value area low. VWAP also support, and then entering here to speculate we could hit the highs, stop loss at the lows, and, you know, just like that, you know, 3-wave correction, to look for that internal scalp long to possibly take out the highs. If you get that extra push, eventually you got some extra profits to make. But that's what is, you know, the entry sucks, right? It's like, you know, you didn't catch the low or anything. You literally got in at the middle of nowhere, right? But that's where, you know, that's where it looks interesting. That's purely based on this, guys. 3-wave down. If your 3rd wave doesn't get continuation and it overlaps, you know, the pivot high in this range, then that's where I can say, okay, maybe we do form that 3-wave corrective structure, or a 1 2 3 4 5, right? But I'm interested in this move to take out the highs, right? Hope it makes sense. So right now, what we do know, or what I do know, is that there's a high probability that we're going to take out 85,200 guys. And the reason is the same as this one, but on the opposite side. 3-wave move up, not impulsive, confirmed 3-wave structure. And if you have a confirmed 3-wave structure to the upside, it just tells you that there's a good chance, right? The probabilities are very, very high to take out $85,200 here. So yeah, man, bit of a sniper. I know that I'm gonna go through the comment section and I'm gonna get people saying that they shorted at the point of control. I know it. We got some aggressive traders here in the community, and I do know for certain that there's going to be people, let me know in the comment section, guys, that got in here, right? Maybe they were analyzing the 1-minute time frame and they did see the slowdown. The weekly was not tapped. We front run the weekly by about $20-$30, but the point of control was, you know, obviously enough resistance. We literally tapped the point of control of this range of the last 2 weeks, got above it, I don't know, $50 or so, and we already, you know, got the rejection here from this point. I'm going to go through the comment section and let's see what the people say. Okay, guys, remember that Bluffin, great trading platform. Okay, you can see beneath me here, you do get some great bonuses. Okay, great perks. All right, right now they have this going on, which is $1,000 deposit bonus. You deposit $7,000, you're getting $1,000 on top of that, guys, for your trading. Of course, this increases your trading capital, so take advantage of that with the link down below, legends. Okay, got the first link for Bluffin, absolutely insane platform, one of the biggest out there. Obviously, you do have Binance, Bybit, but the good thing about Bluffin is that you only require an email and a password to start trading. Okay, and you also get those perks with the link down below. Velto, great alternative to centralized exchanges. This is a decentralized platform. You just connect your wallet. There's no middleman, so it connects directly to the platform from your wallet. You have full custody of your funds. Okay, and that's the beauty of decentralization, right? There's no middleman. You got Velto as well, guys, which is the second link. The fees on Velto are actually very, very good. 0% make a fee, 0.02 take a fee, and you connect your wallet directly. MetaMask, Ledger, Okay, that 4 hourly candle looks horrendous. Let's take a look at that right away. 4 hourly candle. Oof, it does look bad, man. Fill the wick and then move down, right? Fill part of the wick and then roll over. That's very common. And as we do have high probability in coming down to the lows, okay, the probabilities are high to get down to $85,000. The bounce is going to be very, very interesting for anybody that missed out on the short at the point of control. My goodness, what a tap into the levels of resistance, legends. Holy smokes. It was the zone. Anybody that was no interest in longing, guys, all the way up here. If you did not sort your longs out down here, this is a zone to start looking for shorts. Right? No longs entering here, guys. I hope that nobody entered longs as we were pumping and was ready to look for shorts at resistance here. Let me know in the comment section, anybody that missed out on the shorts. We might get a opportunity on the bounce, because as we understand, man, that CME gap. Anyway, as we understand that this bounce, this movement up is highly likely a three-wave structure, tells us that at some point in the very near future, might be today, might be in 2 days, I don't know, we are likely going to take out $85,200 because we had a big drop overlap here from this pivot. And right now speculating on a 1-2-1-2. This is longer as well than this one. It fits better as a three-wave structure. Let's see if that bounce here could be the next deal. Okay, big move up, big move down, slow down right now. We got the price stopping. That's good. That means that, you know, this is the same thing, right? 1 minute time frame. Price action is starting, well, it's still pretty aggressive, but starting to slow down. What I would be looking at here is eventually a little bit of a range, a little bit of a, you know, rangy structure that has overlap, bounces to the 50% golden pocket zone, and then we look for, you know, that would be the area eventually that I would be starting to look for shorts. But we need a bit of a range, right? Get a bit of a bouncy move, you know, correct down, move up, then overlap. This then it becomes the moment of, okay, I'm interested in taking a short. As I do see the overlap, I do see this, boom, stop loss at the high. I'm speculating on the breakdown to sub, you know, 85K. So let's see. Now, obviously, with this information that we have, there is high probability that this movement that we have from the lows of Monday is a corrective bounce. High probability it's a corrective bounce, and higher probability that we take out 85K at some point in the near future. Okay, I can't say it's going to be tonight. It might, but you know, what we're looking at is a larger correction. It could be a three-wave up correction, you know, throughout the next coming hours between today and tomorrow. And then what you could form is a double zigzag up. That is possible. Okay, it doesn't mean that if we have had, you know, it doesn't mean as we have got a three-wave structure. Anyway, I have to say, zooming out on the 1 hour time frame, this is what is interesting. Let's clean up the chart here a little bit. Let's get these levels off the chart. They were just to demonstrate here what happened a few weeks ago. Yeah, this movement down that we've had throughout the highs from the 9th of December. Okay, I'm very interested of what has happened here, right? What's happened with this movement down? With this bounce, I have to say, guys, that you know, I would really speculate on this being a, you know, a finished corrective structure where we have wave W, wave X, and wave Y. Okay, keeping it in simple terms, we have a zigzag move up in wave W, zigzag down in X, zigzag in Y. This movement to the downside, what I'm looking at it to be at this moment with this spike to the upside is a contracting diagonal. Contracting diagonal right over here. You connect your wave 1, your wave 2. You're connecting your wave 1 with your wave 3. You're connecting your wave 2 with your wave 4. Wave 5 smaller than your wave 3. That's all good. That's all nice. And for me right now, what has higher probability is this scenario at the moment. Purely based on the information that I have here. If we would have continued to the upside with this pop and consolidated and formed a 5-wave structure and then correct, that's the long to take out 95k with this information in the next coming days. But man, that point of control was just too much. It was too much for the bulls. The bulls could not take it. They couldn't take that point of control, and you know, bears just took over here and letting the bulls know who's, you know, what's going on here. We are going down. You ain't got a chance. And you know, this is literally made the bulls, you know, look very bad. 3-wave structure, big move down, overlap. Not good. You know, this is not good for the bulls. This is literally the bears. You know, bears today literally said, "Hey, we are in control at the moment. You ain't got a chance here at the point of control, and I'm going to make your wave to the upside look very corrective," which is the case, right? It is telling us a story. So the probabilities right now are higher to take out these lows, and it doesn't mean immediately take out the lows, because this range could continue. Okay, just because what we have here is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and yes, there was a bullish case scenario, and obviously what I would treat this is as a wave 1, wave 2, wave 3, 4, 5, right? Obviously third wave probably getting a more aggressive drop in the next 1 to 2 weeks. But what I would speculate on this, and let me just organize this. Let me just organize this here on this folder, because we do have this scenario that we talked about in the last few days. And this contracting diagonal could have been part of a flat structure where you have zigzag in wave W, you're flat here, with your C wave being a 5-wave structure in a contracting diagonal, right? That's what you need in a C wave. You need a 5-wave structure, regardless if it's a flat or a zigzag or whatever, right? You need a 5-wave structure. And the only option here was a contracting diagonal for the bullish case. But man, this scenario is not looking too great at the moment. Eventually, unless you form, yeah, I mean, it's just not gonna. I'm not gonna talk about it because it seems silly right now. But 3-wave up, 3-wave down, 3-wave up, 3-wave down, 3-wave up, and you form a contracting diagonal here to the upside, right, where you correct down and then you move higher. We ain't gonna go down that road yet, okay? But it's not looking great with this bounce as a 3-wave structure for the bulls. If we wanted to be confident about this scenario, which is obviously the X wave in a flat, we needed to see a 5-wave move up eventually from the lows here, which we did not get. We got a 3-wave move, right? We got overlap. So we wanted this, but we got this instead. So this is what I wanted, but instead I got this. So that is a big issue here for the bullish case eventually to take out 95k, which has very, very low probability, unfortunately, right now, guys. What can we say? The probabilities are low. So not too bullish, unfortunately, guys. Not too bullish. Probabilities are high to take out these lows, and if we do take out those lows, man, there's just nothing too bullish about this movement. There's this, double 1 2. It's not looking good based on this 3-waver. This is already not looking good for the bulls. This crappy move since Monday. This is a bunch of BS. This is not what we want to see for the bulls, unfortunately. So, yeah, it's not looking great, guys. We continue rolling over. Not looking good for the bulls. Looking great for the bears. Anyway, let's go right away through comment section. Staffer1, much love to you, brother. Thanks for joining. Hello, Chartist. Have a blast. Rudy, much love to you, brother. Thanks for joining the stream. Let's go. Delon Rich, kindly check the 4-hourly chart. Yeah, 4-hourly chart. We have it right over here. I'm not sure what you want to check about the 4-hourly. We've got a big nasty wick here. This wick is not making it look too nice. I'm not sure what you want me to take a look at the 4-hourly. But 1-hourly, 4-hourly, maybe you want me to check the wick. The bounce is going to be looking interesting. I would enjoy a bounce to the 50% to the golden pocket and analyze that bounce very carefully, because I'm going to have to jump into a short, not at the highs, at the point of control, like some of you have entered potentially, and look for a new opportunity on the bounce. So yeah, let's see if we do get a very, very choppy corrective bounce in the next coming hours, and look for that aggressive entry. Anyway, let me know, anybody. Andy, I'll leave 30 minutes. What the heck happened to the price? It got a pump and dump. So no more annoying bulls, right? Can you do macro Elliot wave count? Yes, we can do that. We can look at the macro. Quite a lot of liquidity at 83.5k. I'm not sure if people here would be interested in macro analysis. Let me know, guys. Give a thumbs up, or in the comment section. Shall we do macro analysis? Leave a 1, or shall we continue with the lower time frame analysis? Let me know, okay, in the comment section. Just say macro or lower time frame. Been holding my 93k short for over a week. It's safe for now, says Nitro. Absolute legend. Absolute legend. Make sure to collect some profits eventually. We need to pay ourselves, right? Krypton boy, much love from Germany, I would expect, with those colors. Range along, there was 618. Page, Crypto Cowboy, 1 hour is dog's breakfast. Much love to you, my man. It tapped the 90k. It did tap the 90k, got into the point of control of this market, making 101. Yeah, we did tap here into the point of control, and somebody at the beginning of the stream did say, hey, is it true that the CME gap is not filled? We had I know that the gap, CME gaps provide resistance and support, right? Regardless if it gets filled today or next week, they provide support and resistance. CME gaps, top of the gap, low of the gap, fill the gap. It provides resistance or support once it's filled. I don't care when it gets filled, but it is true that they do provide resistance and support. When we do take a look, man, the price is just rolling over. So whoever sniped the short at 90k, absolute legend, guys. Whoever sniped here at the point of control, You know, good aggressive entry, right? Good aggressive entry. Whoever entered here, the point of control, just about an hour ago, absolute legend. You know, very, you know, aggressive, but it is resistance, right? What can we say? The CME gap, someone said at the beginning of the stream, is it true that we did not fill the gap? And I'm like, I don't know. Maybe yes, maybe no, right? Man, we did not fill the gap. Legends, what's going on? Man, we came up to the gap. Someone later on saying, well, that was it, right? We came up to the gap to fill it. On Monday, we missed it by a few dollars. Look at this. We did not fill the gap on Monday. The gap was not filled. What happened today? We filled the gap, hit the point of control of the range of the last 2 weeks, and then we absolutely nuke. Pump and dump. You know, it happens sometimes. What can we do, right? It does happen sometimes, but obviously three-wave structure here, which is not making the picture pretty for the bulls, guys. This ain't a pretty picture for the bulls. High probability we take this low. So whoever's in shorts, you know, hold on tight, legends. Hold on tight, because the probabilities are high to, you know, to take out those lows based on this information that we got here. So yeah, let's go. Smash up. I exit long. Yes, exit longs not looking. Nasdaq dumping. Nasdaq is dumping. Let's take a look at the Nasdaq CME gap, guys. Look at this. Just missed it by you know, I don't know, what was it, $50 on Monday. We missed it by $50. Don't worry, price decided to fill it, and it is true that it is resistance. Regardless if we fill it on Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday, or Thursday, it doesn't matter. But you need to be aware that gaps are actually good levels of confluence. It doesn't matter if it's filled on Monday or Tuesday or Wednesday or Thursday, but they do provide resistance and support, and that's, you know, interesting to have as confluence on the chart. Doesn't matter when it is filled. Nasdaq, unfortunately, is getting stocks. My stocks are going down, guys. What's going on? AI bubble. Yeah, Nasdaq rolling over here. Testing the lows. Testing the lows. All good, all nice. Downtrending. Anyway, let me know in the comment section. Shall we do macro analysis on Bitcoin, guys? What can we expect here on this bear market? If we get below 70k incoming, I'm going to start DCAing below 80k, guys. I'm going to start buying. I've got a disturbing amount of cash that I want to I don't want to hold toilet paper, guys. And I would be interested in starting to buy Bitcoin as in spot below 80k. And the good thing is that we do have a very good chance that Bitcoin does get below 80k. You know, the main reason why is because this movement to the upside is high probability a corrective structure, guys. Okay, so eventually this being a high probability correction means one thing. This move up looks corrective, and then obviously the local bullish case, which was the WXY, is just not looking great right now with this three-wave bounce. So high probability to claim the low, and if you claim this low, I mean, yeah, this is ultimately a confirmation that you'll end up taking out 80k. So if I know there's high probability in taking out $80,500, I'm not going to buy any Bitcoin at 86. I know that I could get a discount below 80k. So I'm going to start, you know, getting into a DCA here. I'm going to start buying some Bitcoin below 80k. 78, 75, doesn't matter. I'll be happy already. It's a good, you know, that would be from all-time high. that is already, 40% discount once we get to 75k or so. Yeah, 77, 76 is already coming into the 40%. That is a good, starting to be an interesting discount to DCA, that's for sure. So anyway, lol, toilet paper. Yeah, I think there's a lot of speculation that in 2026, eventually with interest rates going down, there's going to be quantitative easing. We're gonna before that happens, I think we should see a collapse. That's what usually happens in the past, where before getting money printer going brr, you usually get a crash or some kind of a flash crash or whatever. It might take a week, it might take a few days, it might take a couple of months, but it usually before the money printer goes on, you need to see something bad happen. Banks collapsing, C19 crash 2020. You need a crash first and then money printer go on, right, to save the world and create 10% inflation a year, right, in the US. So lot of I've seen too many very, very important people on X talking about getting 2026 will be epic because the money printer is going to go on. It's the business cycle and everything's going to go up in 2026. And it's like, well, let's kind of wait, right? We're in 2025. Let's wait for things to continue going down. Especially Bitcoin has high probability in continuing to go down. And then, okay, well then that's why I would start to be interested to buy, below 80k, 70k. Will we go to 60k Bitcoin? Maybe, it does have the potential eventually. But I'm already happy to, start DCAing. And usually before a major collapse, money printer goes on, you get a crash on the markets. It's just the main thing to happen. The previous one that we had was the C19 crash. I mean, obviously, every story is different, but we got the major event, we got the major collapse, and then a few months later we had insane quantitative easing, right? And that's when everything went up in value. But the first it comes crash, then comes printing, and that's what usually happens. So I mean, for the moment, Bitcoin is down 35%, right? So, and the probabilities based on the chart is that we go lower. So, yeah, what can we say? 2026 is going to be epic, but not for the bulls. It's going to be for the shorters. Exactly, says Alex, right? Yeah, I mean, that's usually when the Federal Reserve prints money, it's because we're in deep shit, right? Excuse my language. It's like things are bad. That's why the money printer goes on. Money printer doesn't go on because the crypto people want that to happen, or we're following a cycle or whatever, right? You're gonna. I've seen there's too much of this. Oh, interest rates coming down, but money printer go on in 2026. Well, usually we do get we get a crash. Usually shit hits the fan and assets go down. Stock market, Bitcoin, Bitcoin isn't gold and silver is another story. I mean, it's scary, this rally that's happening on gold and silver, I have to say. This is definitely worrying when I see gold that's had this epic move up. I mean, silver has gone through the roof as well throughout the last few weeks, and nothing goes up forever. Nothing goes up like this, and sustains. So there will be a bear market for gold and for silver. This is worrying how high this is going and how fast it is going up. that means these are definitely the warning signs that things are not, looking too great. Anyway, we're not here to speculate on the economy. We're here to do Bitcoin mainly analysis. Shall we do macro analysis, guys, on Bitcoin? Silver has been crazy. There hasn't been any silver pockets we have found in recent years, Andy. And we need silver for everything. Silver will keep going up, Andy. Nothing goes up forever. Nothing goes up forever, right? Yeah, we could go to $100 without a doubt. But an ounce. But it will eventually come down. But I do get it. Obviously, silver is much valuable than toilet paper, right? Than dollars. Appreciate your Bitcoin focus, by the way. It's primarily what I trade. Yeah, I usually focus on trading Bitcoin as well. Nitro, much love to you, my man. Thanks for the kind comment. White House announcement tomorrow evening. Interesting. That's nice. We do have a little bit more news. Also on Thursday, we have inflation rate, guys. That is tomorrow. So we got White House announcement and inflation rate. Tomorrow is going to be an interesting live stream. We are going live as well, analyzing the situation. Hopefully, let me know in the comment section. Did anybody get into this aggressive resistance? Tap the resistance. I was a little bit too patient. Okay, a little bit too patient for a choppy range. It did not happen. Ended up sweeping up the highs. Ended up hitting point of control. A little bit too patient for a little bit of a rangy structure. It is common to get those ranges after a big volume move. That was part of my strategy at the moment, but the train's left for the short, so I need to really focus on the bounce now. Right? I really need to focus on the bounce. We're not chasing trades. You either short at resistance or you bounce the correction, right? You either take the aggressive short at resistance, such as, this SFP to give the example, or, this SFP, right? Or you look for the bounce. Aggressive short on the pump, or you wait for the bounce for the third wave. So, hopefully we do get that bounce between today and tomorrow. Let's see. If not, we just nuke down and continue going down, right? What can we say? But it would be nice to get that bounce for the people that miss the short at resistance, to get in later on. And we'd have to see some kind of a very, very corrective overlappy structure, right? Move up, correction, boom, boom. Then this is your golden ticket. Right, that's the golden ticket. Give a bit of room for stop. Take out the lows and maybe even obviously go lower. But for the moment, the price doesn't want to stop, unfortunately, right now. And this is a dangerous area for longs, I have to say, guys. When you understand that this has been a three-wave structure, looking for longs anywhere here is not attractive. It is not attractive at this moment because you literally have a confirmed three-wave move up, and a confirmed three-wave move up, taking with this movement down, has high probabilities in taking out these lows. Okay, just for the people that want to get into longs, this is not attractive for longs. I have to say the probabilities are high to take out this low. So just information for anybody that's like, I want to long this drop. It's not looking pretty for the bulls. So just so you understand, I think we could go lower than 85k. Yeah, I mean, absolutely. Overall, the probabilities of this being a corrective structure as well, obviously points out that at a later stage we look to take out the 80k level. Okay, the 80k low. probabilities are high that this movement up is corrective at this moment. We had one bullish scenario. Well, bullish, it was still corrective, but it was expanding the correction to take out 94k. But with this move up that we've had today, it's not happening, unlikely to happen. It's unlikely to happen. This was the scenario, but with this 3-wave move up, low probability, guys. This is very, very low chance that this happens. So this is what looks interesting here at the moment, where you have contracting diagonal in your wave 1, wave 2, and breakdown in a wave 3 eventually. That's coming at a later stage at some point, right? We are looking to take out these lows here at $80,500. High probability. We're in a downtrend. We're in bear market, right? We are in a downtrending market. So with this bounce being so corrective, the bullish scenarios are just they're kind of not there. They kind of not there. So yeah, as your point here, somebody saying in the comment section, I think we go lower than 85k. Yeah, probabilities are high to take out 80k. Okay, doesn't mean it has to be today. It could be next week, but the probabilities are high for that to happen. Just for any swing long traders, right? It's not a zone. I got into a little scalp long trade today. Missed the short at the aggressive resistance. It's a bit too aggressive for me, but we were at resistance. But it's not a zone where we're looking for swing longs, really. And by swing longs, eventually holding a trade that's going to last for a few weeks, maybe, well, at least a couple of weeks, to get a bigger move up to the 100k levels. And the main reason why is because of this. This just this looks very, very corrective. The only bullish scenario that looked legit, at least a little bit, was that zigzag up, flat, and the flat in the contracting diagonal. However, with this 3-wave move, unless we form 3-wave up, 3-wave down, 3-wave up, 3-wave down, 3-wave up, and we do form a contracting diagonal here for a wave 1 or a wave A, then yes, we could take out the highs. But this is obviously really speculative, and it's like really random at this moment to even talk about it. Once we get the formation, then we can speculate on it, but it's not something that I would count on at the moment. Little cheeky sweep of the lows here. Cheeky sweep of the lows for any of the scalpers out there. I'm not too interested in these movements, but anyway, a little quick sniper entry for anybody that's looking for an SFP to get into a little long, a little bounce of a few $100s to make some quick bucks. Yeah, I'm a little bit more interested at this moment in seeing a bouncy range. Seeing a bouncy range, hopefully, between today and tomorrow. So I can analyze these waves and say, okay, there's high probability that this is corrective. If I can get a good entry in a short position here at 50% or golden pocket, then that's the swing short or the day trade short that I would want to take, to not only take out 85k but also take out 80k maybe in the next coming days. But yeah, congrats for the people that actually entered at 90k, guys. Good job whoever got into the lower highs right there. the point of control, big resistance. It was big resistance. Sweep of the lower highs at 90k. Fill the CME gap. Point of control. So you got, a lot of confluence in this area. So whoever entered a short right there aggressively, very good. And this is the kind of short as well, if you did not short from here or the lower high from here that we also mentioned back on Thursday. This is the kind of short that you want to hold on a large percentage, right? Give or take 40%, 50%. You obviously want to pay yourself on the movement down, on the move down. But this is the kind of trade I would hold on, at least for this to be the main TP, and leaves, a large percentage open to swing short down to below 80k. And it's a $10,000 move. It's one of those that you have priority, right? You have priority to maintain the downtrend. There's even people still in shorts from higher eventually. But, these kind of shorts are the ones that you want to hold on, right? Hold on, because if you hold on long enough, you want to pay yourself eventually. You have a risk-free trade, obviously, if you get into a very good entry. But obviously, your target is the lows, which is 80,500. It's one of those that you would want to maintain. The probability is in your favor, which is downtrend. Right? If that... Super fit, but you said we wouldn't pull back immediately. I guess you were wrong. When was that? Is that today or another day or higher time frame? Yeah, I mean, this is about this one, this pump and dump. Yeah, this is not very common, right? This is not very common scenarios that happen. We look at common things on the chart. It's not about being right or wrong. It's a bit about understanding what is usually common, and getting pump and dumps without forming ranges is uncommon, right? Of course we did hit some, the resistance was there. We did hit a lot of resistance, but without forming a little bit of a rangy structure, it's uncommon to get, massive pump and dumps or dumps and pumps very aggressively without forming a bit of a rangy structure after a big volume move, right? You're stopping, you're ranging, and then you reverse. You move up high volume, you stop your range, then you get the reverse, right? It doesn't dump and then V-shape. In this case we did with the FOMC meeting, but the probabilities were also looking for a lower high here. So yeah. Anyway, let's go right away through the comment section. Aditya, my man, much love to you. Thanks for joining the stream. When to go long, when to go short, when to hold. Yeah. Cartel pump. Pump and dump. Nitro. Much love, my man. Once we sweep the lows again between 75 and 80k, define relief rally, taking us back to 100k to retest leading span A. Yeah, well, for swing longs, what I want to see on the macro, somebody was asking about macro analysis. What I want to see for swing longs is take out the lows of 80k. And, once I'm already going to DCA into Bitcoin, but what I would understand, what I understand based on the impulse here to the downside is this is kind of the scenario that we are looking at. This is like the main leading scenario for the moment. It's either 1, 4, 5 or it's either 2, 4 and 5s, because there is a way of counting all of this as also just one individual 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. there is a way of counting this third wave with an expanding fifth wave. I mean, not the most pretty. You never want a fifth wave to be the longest. If you can count a double 1-2 has priority eventually, then a expanding fifth wave for the third wave count. And I mean, that's just what is more common. Sometimes the not so common things are the ones that play out, right? So what I do understand though is it's either this scenario or this one that has priority at the moment, right? So it's either this, which is looking for a double 1-2 here, 1-2, 1-2, 3, longest wave. That's what makes more sense. Fourth waves are usually the longest. Take out the lows. This is the moment that you're looking for the price to bottom out, right? Give or take in between 60k, 65k and 80k basically. This is where the price should bottom out to get a larger bounce, like someone said in the comment section on the higher time frame. To get to, round about 100k plus seems about right. Seems about right, because sweeping up the fourth wave is literally what is most common when you get the bounce. So regardless if this is going to be impulsive or not, or if it's going to be corrective and then we continue going lower, it doesn't matter, right? But overall, what we're looking at is the end stages of the movement down. This is coming to the end stages because you already had the biggest wave to the downside on the higher time frame, which is this one. Or our alternative is this one right over here, which is, all of this is your third wave. However, the main reason why I don't like this is because you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Your fifth wave is the expanding wave. Yeah, it doesn't matter, right? We are looking for the price. Once it moves down below $80,000, I can tell you that the probabilities in breaking down to 40k, right, it's just very, very low, right? You are looking for this zone to be the exhaustion area to then get the reversal, and getting above 100k is about right. Get above the fourth wave, which is already 95k. So getting to the 50% Fibonacci, maybe golden pocket, right? Well, that's already out 105k is about right. It's about, most commonly you get above the fourth wave on the bounce. So this is why I'm happy to not only obviously look for swing longs, but DCAing into Bitcoin, buying some aggressive spot Bitcoin below 80k, because the biggest move has happened already in this zone. And once the biggest move has happened, you're looking for the 4-5 situation here, which is, it's going to bottom out and you're going to get an insane relief rally, regardless if it's going to be bullish or not. But I know that I have a good chance of making a 20-30% profit in the next coming months once the price gets below 80k. Buying at 80k, 75k, 70k, it doesn't matter. We're looking for 95, 100, 105k at a bare minimum in the next coming months after claiming below 80k. So I mean, that's as a chilled swing long mentality or investing mentality, right? Where you do realize that the bigger move has happened already. These are the small movements. This is the big one. And that's where you realize eventually that the next lows are the ones that are going to, chop around. That's the 4-5 situation where you're unlikely going to come down to 40k. This is an unlikely move to happen at this point for Bitcoin, right? Nuke down to 50k or something like that, 50, 40. you know, the probabilities are very, very high that this is going to, you know, slow down at this area and get that that rally eventually, right, on the higher time frame. And it just all has to do with probabilities based on, you know, the big move has happened, right? The bigger move has happened. The aggressive move has already happened in this zone. So yeah, that's a little bit. 88 to go short, right? Yeah, well, 88. That's already the area that I would consider looking for a short. You know, in a nutshell, there's one situation here based on timing that you need to take into consideration, which is, you know, if this is the scenario that I like right now the most, which is this. The problem for this to be the wave 2, if this is a contracting diagonal, and in this contract, if this is a finished WXY, and this is a 5-wave move to the downside, where we have, you know, we're looking for a correction right now. Eventually, you got a 3-wave structure. The problem here is time a little bit, okay? The problem is time. Time is important, even though you might, you know, wipe your ass with time and you don't care, but time is important. And the fact that we are, you know, this high was created before the 382 Fibonacci time is important. Preferably you finish a correction after the 382 time, which we did not, which, you know, we missed it by about, you know, 12 hours or so. A bit less than that, sorry, about 6-7 hours from now. So that, you know, the problem is a 3-wave structure can always give you the possibility of forming a larger correction, okay? That's the problem right now when you have a finished 5-wave move down, that you can form a 3-wave up, 3-wave down, and then, you know, you form a triangle and then you move down. That's a possibility. Your wave 2 ends up being this, because what you formed here is a complex sideways corrective structure. I mean, this is what happened last week, guys. We talked about this long position from this triangle here, right? So we got an impulsive move up, 5-wave structure. You got a 3-wave down, A, B, C flat, and then the triangle. So, and then this is like super confusing, because you're like, wow, you got a wave W, you got your wave X, and then your wave Y. Wave W is a zigzag, wave X is a flat, and wave Y is a triangle. And you're like, holy smokes, what the hell, what happened? What happened, right? We on the channel, we do video updates, we do live streams, we detect the scenarios. You know, this was a detectable move to get to 94k. That's the target zone. Stop losses beneath the lows of the triangle. But with this, when we do take a look at the timing here, I mean, we did correct on this ABC before the 382, after the 382, which was totally fine. But the fact that we've corrected here in a 3-wave move, and we do count this as a contracting diagonal, being the leading move anyway. That's the main scenario here at the moment, for this to be a wave 1 in a contracting diagonal, and this a wave 2. The problem is with this wave 2 is that you finish this move, this bounce, before the 382, which opens the door for a larger complex sideways correction. Double zigzag, I think, double zigzag right now has low probability. We just hit the 50% Fibonacci. In fact, 50%, almost golden pocket. That's good. And just taking a look here at the double zigzag potential. Yeah, we already hit the 7-8. So, yeah, I think, the probabilities that this is the high is very, very high at the moment. The probabilities for a zigzag up correction, zigzag up, are very, very low, because if you have a zigzag to the upside, bear with me here, guys. If you have a zigzag move up and after the zigzag you come down below the golden pocket, 70% Fibonacci to be more exact, there is low probability in forming a double zigzag, which takes out the highs and increases the probability for either, this being the high already and breaking down, or forming a sideways corrective structure in a zigzag up correction and then a triangle here, or a flat, which is also very, very possible. And this is not the best. We talked about this a couple of weeks ago, and people were absolutely bombing me about this situation. Zigzag down, a flat here, and the running triangle, right, that happened in this zone. And people were absolutely bombing me, saying, what the heck, man, what's going on? And this is, zigzag down wave W, flat wave X, triangle wave Y. This is literally a complex move that happens sometimes, and I think this is something that could happen in this range at this moment, just because this zigzag move up that we've just had in the last couple of days since Monday, this in the middle would be the pattern, guys. Okay, this in the middle would be that kind of pattern where you either have a zigzag or a flat, and then you have a zigzag or flat in wave X, and then maybe a triangle in wave Y. This is what happened a couple of weeks ago, right? Where you need to spot a 3, and either a triangle or another 3. And it can be flat, it can be zigzag, it can be triangle. And this is what happened right after this movement to the upside. A big strong move up. And we were looking at this move throughout the last week. We spotted the flat potential here, or the fifth wave. This is the beauty. I did enter this long. We did give the option also on stream to enter this long, to either look for this to be a 5-wave move up, look for the bounce to sweep up this high, or look for the flat and continue the range and then take out 94k, which was the case later on, right? So yeah, it's very, very confusing. It's a little bit of too much for the average Joe. But it's important to understand that could be the case. That maybe because what has higher probability at this moment with this zone is the contracting diagonal in a 5-wave structure, and the fact that you've had a quick zigzag up that is very quick in time, not even crossing the 38% in time, compared, of this wave 1, potential wave 1, tells you that continuing the correction before breaking down 85k is a possibility. And eventually what could happen here is you have the zigzag down. Right now you have a zigzag up. Right now we form whatever happens here, I'm not sure. Might be another bounce, take out the low. And then once you have this potential W, potential X, if you have this zigzag up, you could have a zigzag down here. Once you finish that zigzag, once you get this movement up, there's two main options in this scenario, which is what we talked about here. There's two options here, guys. We either form a flat and move up, or we form a triangle and then move up. But you need the X wave to be in. How do I know when the X wave is in? Well, when you have a 3-wave structure. For the moment, we have one only at the moment, which is the big drop down that we've had today. So we get a bounce now. Yeah, interesting for shorts without a doubt. At the 50% golden pocket, I would say that it does look acceptable to analyze that bounce, to take out this local low. If you take out the low here and get the bounce, there's two options. There's going to be the option of a flat to finish wave Y, or there's going to be the option of the triangle to finish wave Y in a B, C, D, E, and then break down. And that's your wave 2 here. Just as this 3-wave structure, your wave B is here. And that's your wave C taking out the highs. This is a 3-wave structure. And inside of the B wave, you have a complex, not for everybody, guys. Only for the elite. Complex zigzag flat triangle. The only reason why you could form this is because this zigzag up to the upside happened very, very fast in time compared to this 5-wave structure. I know, guys, it is a little bit painful to digest. It's a bitter pill. It's a bitter pill, but just be aware that the range could continue before going lower. But without a doubt, the probabilities are very, very high to take out 85k, okay, in the next coming days. Very, very high probability to take out 85k and break down. Alts are dead, bro. Is somebody saying take a look at altcoins? Maybe yes. Guys, make sure to destroy the like button. Whoever shorted that point of control is an absolute legend. Who shorted the point of control? Let me know in the comment section. I have to say, what a tap of the point of control right there at 90k. People that been watching from the beginning. Maybe somebody did actually get into that 90k. Screw alts. I did, but sold early. It doesn't matter. There's opportunities every day. I just SFP into unsustainable moves, almost guaranteed profits. Absolute legend. Alex, hey, just got here. Do you just talk about BTC or other alts like Solana? Much love to you, my man. Yeah, we in the bull run, and when we sometimes take a look at altcoins, I mainly focus on Bitcoin levels, setups, trading, internal levels for some local scalp. Even swing longs, we like to take a look at swing trades, swing longs or shorts. But yeah, much love to you, my man. No trade for me, sir. Staffer 1. Yeah, a bit of a volatile aggressive. I did revenge short. Yeah, don't revenge trade. Stay safe, legends. I mean, this did end up... It's a pump and dump, guys, right? Big pump and dump. Obviously, this was coming into a major level of resistance. Ended up in a kind of an SFP from the highs. Liquidity grab, right? It's kind of the bread and butter of what we usually see. But for me, it was a little bit aggressive, pumping with high volume into the level. Would have been nice to chop around a little bit, right? Yeah, these are the choppy ranges are the ones that I enjoy. Slow down, man. Let me short here, relaxed. Let me short in a relaxed way. Getting a little bit of a range and exhaustion. Don't bring me the dump and pump getting or miss the trade kind of thing. I'm very, very chilled. I'm very calm. And when we pump or dump with high volume, I don't want to catch a falling knife, and I don't want to catch a shorter major pump. It is true that the resistance here was pretty brutal. The resistance was pretty intense, especially sweeping up some lower highs, filling up the gap that we had from the previous weekend. We just filled the gap, got a few dollars above it, and then And the gaps are always resistance and support. So the confluence in this area was pretty intense. If you are a confluence trader that you just, screw Elliott wave theory, screw exhaustion, screw all of that, and you just have the levels on the chart. We did do a front run of a weekly level as well. But we had the weekly level kind of to back up as well, right? The zone of 90K. Man, this 90K region was absolute a block of resistance. And we did see the price prove that it did prove itself that this level was not going to be easy to break. But man, it's a bit of a short the pump, right, or long the falling knife. But at the end of the day, it did SFP, it did hit the point of control. Sometimes you just need to take it. I mean, on the 1 minute, we did get a bit of exhaustion. Right, the 1 minute was already stopping a little bit. It was already curving. Yeah, these are the candles you want to stay away from, right? But when you get some red candles on the 1 minute into big resistance, that's when you know that you're likely gonna get exhausted in this region. I wanted a little bit of more 4-5 here. I wanted a bit more of a longer range, guys. I have to be honest. I wanted a bit of a longer range, which we did not get. The range was on the 1 minute. Slow little grind. Anyway, let's go through the comment section here. Let me do a like button recount over. Oh wow, 237 likes, guys. Thank you very much. That's pretty good. Those are the good numbers. Good numbers for the stream, guys. Much love to everybody. We can short squeezing. Should I just sell my alts if I'm down? Man, this is a very, very personal question. Shall you sell your altcoins? Avax? I have to say, well, this is very personal. I haven't sold. I only sold ICP. And I sold just to get my money back. That was the recent selling that I did. I sold Ethereum about 20%, just under 5K, so around about 4.8K. Once we hit all-time high on Ethereum, I sold 20% of my bag. And I'm holding. The main thing here is that I am holding most of my alts. I am holding most of my altcoins. But this was a take profit zone, guys. Oh my goodness. Ethereum hit all-time high. I was expecting Ethereum to hit newer highs, guys. But my strategy for this cycle, I didn't make much with Ethereum actually, was I need to sell at least 15%, 20% at all-time high. People are talking about 10K Ethereum and all of this nonsense, man. You hit all-time high, you want to get out. You want to start DCAing out. But man, this was fast. Anyway, should you sell your alts? I'm holding my Chainlink. I'm holding a lot of the different altcoins. Not that it's a massive amount of my portfolio. My main portfolio, which is 80%, is Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Chainlink. Bitcoin is 60%, Ethereum's 10%, and Chainlink is 10%. Chainlink is actually a little bit more than Ethereum, but that's... And then 20%, I have, 25 altcoins that are just spread around, which I can't care less about them. Once we get a proper altcoin season, then I'm going to have to start looking for the different wallets where I have my altcoins and sell them, but... I just don't look at the altcoins, right? I know a lot of people have put a lot of, must have put a lot of investment into altcoins this cycle, especially with the new crypto channels. My God, new crypto channels have been insane. They've been popping out of nowhere. You lift a rock and you see a new crypto content creator. Let's go. Apparently, this cycle has been very damaging for crypto for a lot of the people. And this is why we try and stick to Bitcoin trading, baby. Bear market, rolling over. We want to look for intraday scalp day trade opportunities. This is how we want to make make the gains. Because if I'm gonna wait for my Shiba Inu to pump, man, I got an issue, right? Don't trade, just hodl, they say. Well, yeah, this is not the best scenario here for, different cryptos, right? Hold your coins instead of trading. Yeah, screw that BS. I'm going to trade. I'm going to look for trade setups. If I'm going to hold my altcoins till I make some gains, good luck with that. Good luck with that, guys, right? BTC all the way. True, guys. Hi, Andy. Short position now. Joined it just now. Short position just now on Bitcoin. I have to say, no. We need some kind of a bounce here, larger bounce. Very aggressive SFP long at the lows here for an intraday little scalp. We're probably coming into the VWAP. Oh no, VWAP is slightly higher. Is this VWAP? Hang on a minute. Going on with this VWAP. I thought this VWAP. I need to recheck the VWAP settings here. Yeah. For this, I mean, I'm not sure why you would say a short now. This is a very, very shallow bounce from the movement down that we got. I would class this movement down already as a very possible impulsive down, right? It has slowed down. The price is stopping. What I want to see here is, a little bit of a movement here, correction, bounce up, right? And then overlap. And this is the moment I want to say, okay, this is looking corrective. We're chopping, we're overlapping. This is the zone that I want to get into a short position. I want to remain a little bit patient to get into that short. It would be more of a swing short to the lows. One minute trading. Not too interested here. Looking more a little bit at the 5 minute, 15 minute. And I want to see a little bit of a bounce. I can see this as a 3-wave move to the upside. Big drop down. I need that corrective. I need a little bit of something here. I need a bit of a choppiness move. Then I could say, okay, this is looking okay to get that continuation down. At least something, a little bit more of a bounce. I can't short down here. Where am I targeting? These lows? These lows would be nice to get a bit of a more of a bounce to then, get a better entry before you get the drop. Right? I think it makes common sense, right? To get a better entry. But yeah, of course, maybe the price continues rolling over. I just want a better entry on the bounce. Thanks, Andy. Learning path. If someone is to get 100% of what you talk about, especially on Elliot Wave. Mohammed, much love to you, my man. Thanks for the kind comment. Looks like a bear flag. On the higher time frame, there's no doubt about it, right? If it looks like a bear flag, it might be a bear flag, right? This could be interesting. Did we actually test the trend line? My goodness, we're going to have to start using a bit of more trend lines here. If we test the trend line, I'm going full on trend line trading. Let's take a look at that from this pivot low to this pivot low. Okay, well, no, we actually got above it. Well, yeah, what am I saying? We ain't going full trend line trading. I thought that this trend line was exactly right over there where we just wicked today. So I thought that this would have been something like this, right? That's not the case. Not the case. Anyway, let's go through the comment section. Smashing up the like button, guys. Let me just go around the table as we get those likes getting destroyed. And we're going to go through the comment section. Shall we take a look at some altcoins? We've done Bitcoin. What I want to see, whoever shorted that point of control of this range, what a good entry, guys. I have to say, you know, aggressive, but you had reasons to be aggressive here. There were a lot of reasons to be aggressive. Lower highs, weekly, point of control, fill the gap. You had lots of reasons here to take the shot. Okay, whoever entered. You had a lot of reasons to take that shot. It's aggressive, you're pumping, you're trying to short the pump. But that pump is coming into an epic level, guys. It's coming into a very, very solid level. You just, when you want to have confluence, look no further. There's a weekly. There's a point of control of a massive range of the last 2 weeks. You're filling the CME gap, finally. This was actually the gap. Holy smoke. Somebody said that at the beginning of the stream. We did not fill the gap of Monday. And it is true. And it is true that we did not fill the gap. Holy smokes. We just filled that gap. Boom. Down. Very good. For the aggressive traders out there. Muy bien. Muy bien. It seems like it's a massive all that can bounce back. It's a massive alt that can all bounce back. GG's. These up and down moves lately are wildly aggressive. Yeah, very true. Very, very true. You have Patron. Much love, my man. Can we take a look at Avax? Shall we take a look at Avax? Can you compare his second 1, 2, 3 current fourth wave in time? Wait, hang on a minute, Vert. How large does this compare to the second 1, 2? Ooh, can you compare the second 1, 2 to the fourth wave in time? How large is it compared to the second 1, 2? What time frame? What time frame is this, man? Let me know what time frame this is, because yeah, I need to check. I'm not sure which wave for and which ones you're talking about. Let me know. I need a little bit of more information here. 1000x long at 85,500. Jerome, much love to you, brother. This will all show down around Christmas. Showdown around Christmas. How you reckon Solana will do in the next cycle? Accumulate what price you reckon? Cardio time, Stafford 1, much love. Higher time frame, says Vert. Yeah, about Solana, we can take a look at Solana. Later on, Bitcoin, yeah, higher time frame. You're wet. So yeah, I'm assuming that the wave 2 that you're talking about and comparing it with time from your wave 4 is this one, right? Let me know if this is correct. It is true that this is still very much in the time zone. So your second wave 2 in timing with your wave 4, this is still very much in the time zone. It's in between 2 and 3 times longer if this is the end of your wave 4 right there. So yeah, it's all good. Wave 4s are usually longer than your wave 2s. Not 4 or 5 times longer, but yes, 2, 3 times longer. It's all good. So yeah, the time zone from this second wave 2 is in this wave 4 is still very, very much in the time zone, which is 2.6 times longer, right? Or so. I think that's the one that you're actually talking about. ICP is in an important zone. It is very much as well. It is. Stafford, much love. That is correct. Thank you, Andy. You're very welcome. That is the scenario. Wave 4 is still in the time zone. If that wave 4 would have been 5 times, 6 times longer than that wave 2, then it starts looking like we're looking at something else. But yeah, this is still very, very in the time zone still. All good. That's the movement that has priority for the moment. Somebody's saying that ICP is an interesting area. Man, All crypto in general has been a little bit of a disappointment, guys. Most of the crypto, ICP is in an interesting area. Man, it just doesn't. Yeah, it is true that we are, I think, at the point of control of this region or value area low. Man, yeah, we're not holding value area low. The lows sweeping up these lows. Yeah, it's a good SFP zone. Let's say that ICP is at a interesting SFP area. I think there could be some interesting bounces happening here at $2.80. Anybody that's feeling aggressive and wants to get into an SFP in the next coming days, you have one right over here on ICP, right? Those higher lows that was formed after the crash that we had on the 10th of October. So it's a without a doubt an interesting area to get a relief rally. I mean, you could get a 5% move or even a 10% move up. It's a good to position yourself. So it's coming into an interesting area. Anybody that wants to get into a scalp day trade on ICP, set some alerts. I'm actually going to set some alerts myself to that liquidity grab low. Get the alert, take the trade. We buy the lows tonight. ICP looks interesting for sure. That is correct. Thank you, Andy Vert. 19, much love. Another pump tomorrow after CPI data and dump again before the Japan rate increase. What a pump and dump today. Yeah, it's been a bit of a pump and dump. Pump straight into fill the gap of last weekend and actually hit major confluence zone, okay? Which was the point of control. Weekly level, fill the gap, sweep liquidity, some lower highs from the last few days. Aggressive entry, I have to say. Bit of a sniper, bit of a boop, enter the short as you get into the zone and take the chance, right, kind of thing. Anyway, legends, I can see people are leaving at the moment, and yeah, we're just not discussing too much. So let's see. Tomorrow, we are going to do a live tomorrow as well on the CPI. We will talk about the aggressive levels. We're likely going to get some volatility. We got 5:30 UAE time. That's an hour before the stock market opens, New York. So we got inflation rate, 5:30. Stock market open, 6:30. That's UAE time. It's going to be interesting. I'm going to go live here. We're going to talk about sniper levels. Anybody that wants to trade the volatility tomorrow. Tomorrow, we're likely going to get the volatility. And Friday as well, we got the Japan interest rates as well. Hike. Some people are saying that this is priced in eventually because we know there's going to be that hike. Is it priced in or not? Well, you know, maybe it is, right? Much love to everybody. Avax is interesting too. We'll take a look at Avalanche. Man, people don't like me taking a look at altcoins. People are here mainly for Bitcoin. I know that. But yeah. Much love to everybody. Thank you very much for joining. Thank you very much, Staffer1. Remember that you got some great perks, guys, with the Bluffin, okay? Bluffin is a great platform. You do get some great bonuses. You can see it down below of my face right now where you do see the deposit bonus of $1,000, right? You deposit 7K, you're going to get $1,000 on top of that, guys, for your trading. As you can see here, that's what Bluffin is providing at the moment. And Velto is the alternative to centralized exchanges where you can connect your wallet directly, guys. There's a quick tutorial as soon as you click on the second link on Velto, guys. No middleman. The fees are great, extremely low, and you connect your wallet directly. No middleman. You have full custody of your funds. Another way to support the channel, of course, guys. Thank you very much for joining. See you tomorrow, legends, on the big news day, volatility. We have inflation rate, guys. Stay safe, trade safe. Thank you for joining, and I'll see you tomorrow.